Hey YouTube, this is Robert Ness 816, and we have some videos coming up in the future. I know it's been a really long time since I posted anything decent, but yeah, I've just been busy. I haven't really been doing too much with collecting or anything like that. Mostly just playing the games. Really, that's really it. Not really, too much else has been going on. Um, So I do have some highlights, some a couple pickups here and there, but mostly these two repairs. So this is a Sega CDX, and of course, like most of the other ones, it needs a new laser. So I actually got this in. This is a customer's; it's not mine. And we got a replacement laser. This is actually the second attempt at getting a replacement laser because this company that refurbishes them really doesn't do a good job of refurbishing them. And basically, all I'm getting is I'm pretty sure they're just taking the lenses out of the systems and putting them in boxes if they work. I don't really think they're refurbishing them. Case in point, the first one I got actually did not work at all, so I had to send it back. This one, the issue with this particular laser is that it will only read a game or even a regular CD on the first track. Once it has to move past that, it will not do anything. So when I put in a replacement laser, it would actually turn on, it would try to focus, but it wouldn't even initialize, so the disc wouldn't even start to spin. So basically a dead laser. So this one is what I got as a replacement, and yes, so I did remove the shipping tab, which is a little grounding blob of solder that they put on there to prevent static shock. Still, obviously did that before I tried it. Didn't do anything, so we're going to try this laser. This laser is actually dusty, which is not cool at all. And what I mean by dusty is by the lens, if it'll focus, probably not, but by the lens, it's actually quite dusty underneath it. So my hopes aren't really too high for this particular laser company. So if it does in fact come down to it, I'll send it back, and I'll have to ask the customer if he wants me just to throw it back together again and be done with it. So what else can I show you guys? Oh yeah, hold on. Okay, so this is yet another Model 1 Sega Genesis, which I bought only for its shell since it's in really nice shape. So the issue with this Genesis, and it actually does work, but it has an issue with, well, two things actually. It has an issue with the sound chip. I think it's the sound chip, and I know it has an issue with the video encoder, which is that long chip under the heatsink. So what this console does is it will not display the color yellow at all. It will only display yellow as gray. So any game that uses yellow will pretty much have messed up colors. The sound will come off as every single note literally being off key. And some sounds coming out as static, so I'm assuming that is the chip that has gone bad, since I don't think that has to do with the capacitors. If the capacitors go bad on these, I think that has more to do with how clear the sound comes out and the amount of, or I guess how loud it would sound too, since these two effectively complete a circuit with these capacitors. So I think it's the sound chip. Once the console warms up, the sound actually goes back to normal, so it's kind of weird. So I've narrowed it down to either the sound chip or maybe possibly the Z80 or the RAM. I don't know. I haven't tested it yet with the Master System cartridge, so I can't be too certain. The PSG sound is actually perfectly fine, while the FM sound is all distorted and messed up, so yeah, we'll have to see. So this is a VA2 board, and this particular one I think it's kind of worth doing because it is in really nice shape. As you can see, there's not really any corrosion or anything like that or rust on it, so I'll put a little bit of effort into it. If not, it'll just make a nice parts board. Something to note though is that whenever I do come across a Genesis with sound issues, it's usually a VA2 revision. I've yet to come across a VA3 that's broken or a VA 6, 6.5, or 6.8. So I guess that's just, I don't know. Maybe they had a thing with these where they were not made too well. I don't really know, but who knows. So anyways, this console did pretty much serve its purpose. I did use the shell on this one for mine. And yeah, this one is just from another console that I had, but it also cleaned up nice. So this shell is good to have as a spare, and I can basically use this if I come across another one with the beat up shell and basically make a nice looking system out of it. So, you know, that's if I can't fix this one. The base on this thing is really clean, so, you know, again, good parts all around. The RF shielding's good, the heatsink is good, the cartridge socket is good. You know, CPU RAM is good, CPU itself is good, video RAM's good, you know, the AV socket. So a lot of good parts on this thing still. So, and the reset button works. That's a big one. Nice having working reset buttons on these Genesis consoles. So this is going to be a future project. You know, if I can't fix it, then, you know, it's not the end of the world. I don't really care. It'll become a parts board, but hey, whatever. It'll make a nice video if I can get it going again. Okay, so here is the top shell to that Genesis that I just showed you. And as you can see, it is in really, really nice condition. And this is actually the console that I bought at the flea market last winter, the one that I showed you. So you remember how clean that console was if you follow my videos. It was basically like brand new. But unfortunately, that console had an incident with a soldering iron. So the story was that I was fixing a Game Gear, and I was also cleaning out the cartridge slot on this particular console. And unfortunately, when I put my soldering iron down, I did not put it back in its holster like I should have, and I used like a Weller soldering station. So the soldering iron actually kind of rolled over to the console and melted it melted the top cover of the console over here and kind of burned a hole through it. And I only noticed that after I smelled solder, or plastic rather. So yeah, I was super pissed off, and that is pretty much what I get for basically not paying attention. So yeah, this was actually really lucky because this guy Al I know contacted me because he had a Model 1 Genesis, which is the one that I showed you, which was not working correctly, and he needed one. So I had one that I was selling, and I basically bought that console, the one that I was sold him, for $10 because it needed well, it was actually listed as broken when in fact it wasn't. Whoever worked on it before me did not know what the hell they were doing, and they went crazy with a hot glue gun and pretty much tried to fix the reset button, because the reset buttons on these consoles are always an issue, but tried to fix it by putting extra hot glue under the reset button, the plastic piece here, so you can push down on it harder, and ultimately melted the reset button with hot glue while globbing it all over the place. And yeah, this is a person that repairs these things for a living, so I'm not going to name names or say anything, but yeah, what the fuck. So anyways, I took all that glue off of it. Thankfully, underneath all the hot glue was a very nice looking console with nothing wrong with it other than the stupidity that happened with the hot glue. So I had a spare reset button sitting around, thankfully. So I soldered in a new reset button, cleaned up that console, sent it on its way, and that guy has a very nice later revision Model 1 Genesis. So basically I charged him $10 for that console, which is what I paid for it, so I got my money back, and then plus this console, the broken one, in trade, so I can get a nicer shell for mine. And you know, it all worked out in the end. I basically broke even, and I fixed my epic failure by getting a really nice top for this Genesis, which was basically perfect, but now it is actually even in better condition than it was before. So, you know, I'm really happy. So it all works out in the end, and that's basically it. So anyways, that was my story of failure and sort of triumph, but stay tuned for some Sega CDX repair and possibly the repair of another Model 1 Genesis console. So thanks again, guys. Take care.